Hello learners. Today's topic is for the BA Honours English Part 3 students. We'll be taking up paper 6. The topic is Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. We'll be taking up content wise. So the table of contents read: number 1, historical background; 2, George Bernard Shaw, an introduction; number 3, Pygmalion background and story; number 4, themes in the play; and number 5, important points. In this class, I'll be taking up the first two, that is, the historical background and George Bernard Shaw, an introduction. The Edwardian or Georgian period comprises from 1901 to 1936, the historical period covering the rule of Edward VII from 1901 to 1910 and King George V from 1910 to 1936. It was the end of Victorian era and the beginning of the modernist movements. The First World War, referred to as the Great War, had a devastating effect on the national morale and other aspects of the society. Now we come to George Bernard Shaw, an introduction. He preferred to be called Bernard Shaw for that matter. So his lifespan is from 1856 to 1950. He was a philosopher, a social activist, socialist, pacifist, vegetarian and teetotaler, satirist, polemicist, critic, and dramatist. In the year 1925, Shaw won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He was born on 26 July 1856, Dublin, Ireland, and died on 2nd November 1950, United Kingdom. He was a child of a music trainer and a failed businessman and alcoholic, George Carr Shaw. He finished his formal education by 1871 and started to work as a junior clerk. In the year 1876, he joined his mother and sisters in London. In the years 1872 up to 1878, he taught himself at the British Museum. He spent his afternoons in the reading room, writing novels and reading what he had missed at school, and his evenings in search of additional self-education in the lectures and debates that characterized contemporary middle-class London intellectual activities. Despite his failure as a novelist in the 1880s, he did bounce back during the same decade. He became a vegetarian, a spellbinding orator, and tentatively a playwright. He became the force behind the newly founded Fabian Society in the year 1884. It was a middle-class socialist group that aimed at the transformation of English society, not through revolution, but through permeation, a term coined by Sidney Webb, of a permeation of the country's intellectual and political life. Shaw was also one of the founders of the London School of Economics. He espoused different social ideas such as abolition of private property, radical changes in the voting system, reform of English spelling, and the alphabet. He was profoundly influenced by the Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen. As a result, he introduced social and political criticism and problem plays in England. He was influenced by the philosophical ideas of Henry Bergson, the proponent of evolution theorist, or theory could say. As a theatre critic, Shaw argued that a theatre of ideas should replace the sentimental theatre of the time, and he considered sentiments to be the root cause of all the evil. His plays expose the hypocrisy and complacency of the British society. He said, quote, I must warn my readers that my attacks are directed against themselves, not against my stage figures. Unquote. Now about Shaw's stagecraft. He promoted the unpleasant or the problem plays by publishing a long preface in which he argued his views and tried to convince the audience, I could say. He forced his viewers to face the reality of unpleasant events. His incisive wit, humor, and the power of musical language kept his audience transfixed. Thank you.